how can we engage our local community with our marketing efforts? So kind of to the opposite of what you were saying too, if it's something that's going to bring in positive comments or questions from different people, like obviously if we post this in groups, I post this in like my local, like you said, I posted in my Streamwood, Illinois page. And I think it's one of those, you can kind of create the conversation. And I know you do like a community business leader meeting, and it's one of like you can kind of discuss stuff that's going on in your community as far as how can I, especially if it comes up like how do I do this kind of marketing effort, or I'm not sure about email campaigns. If you're already kind of within the local group setting, whether it's a Facebook page or you kind of have like a, whether it be a big text stream type of deal, you can kind of engage those things and you're not just directly spamming them with your own marketing or your own company.
I think, when it comes to a local community, I think you really can't fake it. I mean, you have to kind of show up. I mean, for lack of a better term, you have to show up. I think, I don't know that I would recommend somebody just like saying, oh, I'm going to buy a logo on a banner at the football stadium or whatever. People want you to actually show up and do something like, so I think that people could spend a lot of money just throwing money at something, but not really showing up. And that won't do anywhere near as much as, you potentially holding an event at your place and saying, hey, we're going to we're going to do some sort of contest or whatever to help raise money for the local Boy Scouts chapter. And we do a lot of window tinting companies. We're going to give away we're going to do a drawing and somebody's going to get a free window tint for helping out the local Boy Scouts with a donation or buying a box of Girl Scout cookies. Everybody gets entered, and somebody that bought a box of Girl Scout cookies is going to get a free tint job. That's actually tangible, and you're actually showing up, actually having, a logo on a banner at the football stadium. I'm not sure anybody looks at that and says, hey, I'm going to call that company for marketing. I'll give you an example out of our own, portfolio of things that we did. In our local community here where we're based, we built at no cost the parent-teacher organization, the PTO's website for them. There's a lot of people in the community that are involved in the PTO, and we build websites and we do things like that. And a lot of people in the community became exposed to the fact that we built websites. We built a really nice one for the PTO. So a lot of people got exposed because they're on there using the PTO website to find out when the events are and things like that. So without us saying a word or pounding our own chest, it got around town pretty quickly that we build really nice websites because we built the PTO website for them. So I think you've got to be a little bit innovative in how you engage with your local community. What I would say though is figure out a way to show up. Don't just put money out to say, hey, I want to have my logo on, the local calendar or something like that. I just don't think those things work. I think people just overlook it. But if you show up and help, the athletic department at the local high school run an event to help, raise money, the parents whose kids are involved in those athletics are going to remember that.
It's funny. I got an email today from the local golf course to put my logo on like the cards that you fill out while you're obviously I'm not an avid golfer to remember like what that card is specifically called, and it was quite a big price. And I'm thinking whether I'm the only logo on there, if I'm going to pay $1,000 to be put on, I guess every card that's going to go out might be something if I feel that that's worth it. Because one, if you're thinking, and to me, as I'm talking through it might not be a terrible idea if there's business owners that are going golfing and they're going to see your name listed. But while you were mentioning it, one of the things I kept thinking of was if you're going to these different shows, like if you've gone to SEMA, if you've gone to the window film conference and you're like, ooh, I like what they did over here, or this demo here, you could do something similar to that at a local expo. And I know I probably have used this before, like a craft fair, an expo, set up a tent, do a demo. Like you don't actually have to have a car there, but if you have a certain, like a piece of window that you could demo how to install, or you're just showing the PPF. I know I know a lot of the guys in the shop have kind of that water dripper thing to show kind of how the water beads off of paint protection film. you can have those things set up to kind of, one, get in front of people, and then they have a conversation, and they might not know that they need some of these products, but if they're going to talk to you, who would be a product expert, and you can kind of explain it, and that gives you the face time. And it kind of goes back to what we mentioned before when you were on last time, is if you're going to be this big character, or if you're going to kind of do all this stuff, they're going to see you. And if that's your character and who you are when you're there at these shows, and then they're going to see that same person at the shop, you're going to kind of be that, you're going to stick in your head and going to be remembered, like, oh, this is a guy that kind of explained this, and he had a crazy red suit on or something, that, and he had the same thing on when he came to the shop, or had a bow tie on, whatever your thing is. Or if you're just, he was a regular guy, was super nice and kind of explained everything to us, and then he was the same guy when we came to the shop. I think, and that leads obviously full circle with the brand identity of who you are when you're out at these different events, whether it's, you want to be the same person when you're at an event, when you're on social media, and when you're in your shop, because you're consistent. People are like, okay, he's not doing different stuff. He's, or depending on, obviously, if you have different people kind of showing up at different things, then that's fine too. But your brand, your identity is kind of one of those things you want to make sure that if you're going to be that same person to be out in public and to get into people's faces, that they're going to remember you.
No, I think that's critical. And number two, like I said, there's ways that you can, like you said, being involved in like different, craft fairs or whatever. But, if you're in the automotive segment of the business, my guess is right around where your shop is, there's monthly get-togethers of different car guys, whether it's the Corvette Club, the Porsche Club, whatever. And a lot of times they're looking for content to have at their local meetings. So, a lot of times they'll have like a local garage will invite the club over to talk to them about things to look for in a pre-purchase inspection on a car. There's no reason why you couldn't invite the car to come to your shop and talk to them about things to look for in a quality window tint job. Don't be overly salesy. Don't be trying to close people on the spot, but just become that person that's recognized as the local expert in window tinting. And what's going to happen is, and I'm really going off on a tangent. I may cut us short on the next question, but I've often thought about, say, like every different area of expertise is like a triangle, and the person that's like the car person that's really into cars, underneath that person there tends to be a triangle of people that in their sphere of influence or group of friends or however you want to talk about it, they're the car person. They're the person people ask, hey, where do you take your car to get it fixed, or this or that or whatever. There's also probably somebody or a couple people that are in, like, they're really good cooks, or they're really good at baking things, or their yard always looks amazing. They're really good at landscaping. Somebody fits those blocks in every one of your friend groups out there. So the people you're reaching when you have like a lunch and learn or a get together where you talk to people at your shop that are part of the Corvette Club about window tinting, you're not just reaching the 20 people that are at that event. You're reaching everybody that's in their triangle and their pyramid. Because if they start using you for window tint and somebody comes up and said, hey, I've been thinking about getting my car tinted, where should I go? They're probably going to say you, because now they have a personal interaction with you. So I think people get too caught up with, well, how many jobs am I going to sell if I have that event at my shop? That's like being really short thinking about it. And the idea is to be like you said, how do we engage our local community? And I the first thing I said was, you got to show up. Yeah, these things take a little bit of time. You're probably gonna have to buy some beverages, maybe have some cold drinks for people, maybe some snacks. But if you show up, it will have a long-term benefit to you. And I think that's going to be a whole heck of a lot better than having your logo on the back of a golf scorecard. I'm sorry. I just,
No, I think it's funny because everything you said, I think we were, like we said, the client that we are going to have the phone call with, you mentioned the same thing, because they're kind of a part of another automotive type of sector. And if he was to set up his own type of display or show, but it all goes back to, is he going to bring value to whoever is going to be there and see it? And like you said, that sphere of influence or triangle, whatever it might be, is that person is going to remember you because one, and I think you mentioned it to them, It's don't be just selling yourself and trying to pitch. If you can give value, that's going to be more memorable, and someone's going to be like, oh yes, I can use this piece of valuable information in the future, even if it doesn't mean I'm going to go to this guy for this specific thing. If they're giving you, hey, why don't you use this microfiber cloth with this kind of spray on solution is what I use in it, and let me show you how it works. Then this person will be like, oh, okay, this guy kind of explained this to me, and yet he was just showing me how to do this, but he also does A, B, C, and D. I might have to go back to him. And like you said, if they're the person that kind of people go to, it's the word of mouth marketing that we've kind of banged the drum on a lot. Tier 2 is you're expanding your own kind of following, because people are gonna be like, oh, I remember this guy you
become the thought leader. You become the thought leader in the space, and they think of you as the person that they should turn to for something like that. And I think, again, it takes work. I mean, everybody, like, I'd love to tell you, hey, put your logo on the back of a golf scorecard and it's going to pay huge dividends. My guess is most of that money is wasted. I golf. I never look at the back of the score. I couldn't tell you a single company that was listed on the back of the scorecard at the club, at the golf courses I play regularly. Not a single one. Oh, the only thing I can think of is on one of the tee boxes, a local realtor bought a sign to hang on the tee box, and everybody routinely draws stuff on the lady's face. So I don't know that that's the image she's trying to portray, but I do remember that only because people on the regular deface the picture. But I mean, I just think you have, again, I'm repeating myself, but if you want to engage, it's going to require you showing up. And it's not going to be something like buying a logo on the back of a golf scorecard or something like that. I think you got to put some skin in the game, more than just dollars.